Hey everyone, it's Chad in 0YK. I'm down at my remote station, and today we're going to be doing an antenna removal. So to give you a little bit of background, we're looking up at the DXE Engineering 160 meter dipole. It's roughly 260 foot long, about 130 foot each side, made out of flexible 14 gauge wire. Really a great antenna for the price point. I bought this a couple years ago, and for the longest time I have been trying to determine how I could fit a 160 meter half-wave dipole on my 4 lots down here at the remote station. And after some thought, I really needed a tower right about there, which I don't have today, and I need really a bit more justification than a seasonal dipole to put another tower up. But long story short, a couple years ago I got to thinking, if I just ran a rope from the top of that pine tree over to the tower, I might be able to make this work. And sure enough, it fits almost perfectly on this lot. Like I said, about 260 foot total length. And I use it basically seasonal, like I said. So there is a weather net on 1.995 megahertz during standard time zone, or standard time I should say. And on that net, basically it starts, the beginning of November, runs all the way to the beginning of March. Every night at 7:30 p.m. a bunch of hams in the central part of the United States get on 160 and exchange weather data. And I got into that a couple years ago, and honestly during the winter months it's kind of a nice little distraction in the evening to check into that net. So I had a problem. I don't have a 160 meter dipole, but long story short, I ran this rope across and hoisted up this 160 meter DXE Engineering dipole, and then we'll walk to either side. But it works absolutely great. I have the SWR pretty much fine-tuned to 1.995 megahertz, which I have, I'd say 1.5 to 1 or less. I can run literally legal limit through it without any tuner and without my solid state amp having a fit that the SWR is too high, so it works out great. But again, we're down here again. It's the beginning of March. A couple days ago we just hit daylight savings time, and it's time for this antenna to come down because they are no longer doing the 7:30 weather net. And honestly, when the wind gets to blowing, particularly that pine tree, that rope really gets to pulling on the tower. The tower is stout. The tower maybe vibrates a little bit. I'm not really worried about it damaging that tower. But with the thunderstorm season coming up upon us, I always take it down during the spring and summer months and then put it back up the 1st of November. And you can see it just swaying there a little bit, and it's literally that pine tree is just tugging on that rope a little bit. A little bit of backstory. Climbing that pine tree was quite the experience. There's enough limbs and needles on that pine that climbing up to 20, 25 foot was quite the ordeal, but I did make it up there. So again, this video is all about taking this antenna down. I'm going to show you kind of the bird's eye view up on the tower once we get up there. But first I want to show you each end of this dipole just to show you what I did. So on this right end, or this end's going to the south, I had to literally cut a V in this cedar tree, which wasn't a big deal, but when it's not windy, that dipole basically hangs in that V. And we'll walk over to this support. And while I'm walking over, I really just wanted to share this information for anybody trying to maybe contemplating, putting the top band dipole on your property. I think, having the, capability and being able to use the top band's always been one of my goals. It might be one of your goals, and maybe this will plant some seeds and give you some ideas of how I did it. So you can see I wrapped back quite a bit of the wire to tune up to the higher part of the 160 band. And then we just have some standard rope coming over here to some military fiberglass mast. And that's it. You can see it's kind of hung in the tree there. We've had some wind, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect SWR or anything like that. And just have that attached to a stake. And that's pretty much it. Again, this is it's a seasonal antenna. If it wasn't seasonal, I'd probably, put in some concrete and a still piece of conduit or something to support that. But again, since this is only up for literally, you know, not even 4 months, it's really kind of a temporary install. And then we'll walk over here to the other side real quick. And I ran, there's LMR 400 flex coming off the center point of the dipole, and that goes into all those coaxial relays I have in the shack that switch between antennas. So that'll all come down, and I'll just coil up the coax inside the ham shack building. This is a utility pole, but honestly, they don't use it anymore. This light doesn't even work, so I've hung basically this first one here is my permanent 80 meter dipole. I use that almost every day. Works out great, been up for years. And then this is the other side of that 160. It's just, you know, it's up about 15 foot, and you can kind of see looking back here. Again, it works great. I wouldn't want to run it through the summer months when we get those thunderstorms and some of those gust fronts that come through, but you know, during the winter months, I really haven't had much of an issue with the antenna, really at all. It's just that pine tree gets to moving, and sometimes worries me just a little bit when we get some of those cold fronts that come through, and we have, you know, sustained winds literally all day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get geared up, get my belt on. We're going to take down both of these ends. So I'll drop down both legs of the dipole, I'll bring them down to the ground, and kind of get them loosened up. And then we'll go up on the tower, and we're going to take up this this rope on the pulley. We'll bring that up to the top, and then I'll loosen this rope, tie it to the rope with the pulley, and we'll lower it down nice and easy. And then I'm going to show you what this looks like once we get it on the ground. So, and we're headed out to the north leg of the dipole. And again, I'd be kind of curious if anybody has any other ideas, better ways of doing this. Drop a comment. I am all about learning from others, and you know, maybe there's a better way to put a, you know, basically 260 foot antenna on a you know, basically 4 lot property, less than an acre property. So drop a comment if you have any ideas. Like I said earlier, I'm not against putting up another tower. It's just, you know, I'd like to put up an aluminum tower. Let me get down here in view so you can see what I'm doing here. But I'd like to put up an aluminum tower. But again, I need more than just the 160 seasonal antenna to really justify all the work and expense associated with putting another tower up. One of the items I'd really like to have is one of those aluminum towers. I think they're made down in Florida, but I'd love to have a 50-foot self-support aluminum tower and put that up in that spot. Maybe one day, but again, I need at least 1 or 2 more antennas to justify the expense and the effort to put that in. So let me show you. This is pretty simple. Just an eye bolt up there. You can literally see that wire come right down, and this rope just comes right out of the eye bolt. So there you go. I'll just kind of show you. Again, this wire is super flexible. It's great dipole wire. If I ever replace my 75, 80 meter dipole, I'm going to go with this type of wire. It's just so flexible. It's really easy to use. You can see that leg of wires on the 7/8 hardline and all the cables I got going out to this tower. And then the center of the dipole obviously didn't move because that's attached to the rope. So we'll make our way over here to the other side. This won't take too long. A little breezy today, but not terrible. All right, so let's see, there's not much to this really. Again, temporary install. All right, let's see here. A little hard to do this with one hand. And again, an eye bolt up there. Just bring that down. And this should just come off of this stake, and then I'll have to get probably have to get a stake puller to get this stake out of the ground. Let me see if I can do this here. And I've actually had, this thing's not coming out very easy. There we go. So to show you what that looks like, there we go. During a pretty heavy wind, I had this thing break. So, which is not a bad thing. I'd rather that break than it do some damage to something else. So it's kind of a little bit of a safety point, I guess you'd say, is if it gets too much loading on it, that thing will break and take the tension off this wire a little bit. So we're gonna make our way up the tower, the big commercial tower here. But first I'm gonna get this rope undone and see if I can get my camera to stay in my belt here. There we go. This shouldn't take long at all. So once I get the antenna down, we'll coil up the rope nicely, and I hide it over there underneath the pine so it's out of the sun for the summer months. Then we'll get the antenna coiled up nicely, and I put it, obviously indoors for the summer months, but I want to mark it and make sure that next year when I break it out, I know exactly where the sweet spot is on tuning it for the weather net. All right, almost up here. Okay. It's a little more trickier when you have a camera that you're trying to make sure, an expensive camera, I should say. All right. We're up on the big commercial tower here. And what I'll do, there's quite a bit of tension on this rope, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring up, I'll show you here. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the rope on the pulley. You see it's slowly coming up. And most likely that tree, I think it's an apricot tree, is going to be completely in the way of this when I bring it down. So it might get a little interesting. That tree always causes quite a bit of trouble when I raise the dipole and lower it. And typically I'll have my daughters out here helping pull some tension on it or something, which usually works, kind of pulling it away from the tree. But what I really need to do is cut that tree down, and then I wouldn't have that issue. I just haven't got myself to do that yet. Okay, so let me get this camera adjusted. Hopefully you can see that okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the tension off. And slowly lower this down. Like I said, I fully expect it to get into the tree a little bit, but hopefully it won't take too much to break it loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull some tension on the rope that's going over to the pine tree. Kind of see, it's already really starting to pull on it. There we go. Shaking the tower just a little bit, but this tower is so beefy that just a little vibration's all I'm feeling. All right, so it's pretty much, I'm looking over here to the left of me, it's pretty much resting on that tree. I don't think we're even gonna need this other rope. So you can see it's on that apricot tree. So what I'm gonna have to do is pull that back to the west and get it to where that center point can come down more so I can detach it and kind of show you that. I don't know if I'll record all that because it's gonna be probably a little bit of a challenge to record that and do it at the same time. But give me a second. I'm gonna, what I'll do is I'm gonna take this rope, lower the rope here off this pulley and get back down on the ground, and then we'll see if we can't get that center portion of the dipole out of that tree, and I'll kind of show you a close-up of the custom mount I did out of some wood and show you the rest of the disassembly process. So we'll be right back with you. Okay, we're back. I'm going to try to capture this. I've never done it this way before. I have the mic on my shirt, and you can kind of watch me try to get this 160 meter dipole out of this tree. It's typically not too bad, especially it's usually worse trying to put it up, but this tree, I tell you what, it's probably going to have to go. I have spent hours, there we go, trying to navigate around this tree since I put this this dipole up. And typically what happens on this apricot tree is it's going to bloom early. It's blooming right now, and we're going to get a freeze later this month, which is March or possibly in April, and it's going to kill all the buds, and this tree is basically not going to put any fruit on. That's typically what happens. So we'll see if we can get to what I might have to do. So we're going to do one leg at a time. I'm going to bring over the north leg here, just nice and easy. 130 foot of antenna wire or thereabouts. And then once I get it down, I'll show you a close-up of the bowline, and we'll take it into the shop. And like I said, I'm going to mark it and just make myself some notes, because you think you'll remember all these subtle details come November, and by the time November gets here, I guess at least I don't remember exactly how I had it set up. So I'll take some pictures and we'll go from there. So get this last leg down. This might be a bit more difficult. With the trees and stuff on this property, there is really just there's not another way to put this antenna up that I am aware of. Yep, there went the mic. Try this again here. So it's okay. I'm going to fast forward through this part, but as you can see, it was quite the challenge to get the antenna wire out of this apricot tree. What I should have done is got a big ladder out and some type of pole and tried to get that wire out. But since I was recording, I was in a little bit of a hurry and did it the hard way. That said, again, I need to do something different with that tree and the placement of the dipole, but I wanted to leave this in the video just to kind of show you some of the challenges I had with taking this antenna down. All right. Let's see what I tore up here. Yeah, that tree is going to probably come down as soon as I have a chance. Just provides no value to the property. And another thing, I don't know if you can see it over there, but I have basically wrapped the excess portion to tune this antenna on the highest part of the 160 meter band. I've wrapped it back on the antenna just in case, you know, one day I ever want to maybe go further down on the band. And you know, the bandwidth on this antenna it's not very wide. You get down to 1975 and that SWR's trying to creep up. So I've really wrapped this antenna back on itself just in case I ever want to go further down the band for whatever reason. I don't think I will, but you never know. So we'll take you up here. This is going to look better whenever I get it back in the shop. I'll have it all nicely coiled. So DX Engineering makes basically a back plate for this balun, and the reviews on the back plate are not very good at all, which is why I haven't purchased it. And when I put this up, I didn't want to wait 2 or 3 days to get it either, so I just made one out of wood. And I would say, you know, plexiglass would be better, but I was being tight and I didn't want to buy the plexiglass, you know, $40 worth of plexiglass to do this. But there you go. And ignore the label on the coax. This is for the old, this coax came from the old 432 beacon. But basically, it's very simple setup. Like I said, it's a temporary setup. I just put some zip ties up there, and I run it through these holes to take the loading off the terminals here, and there you go. That's all she wrote. Again, this is rated at legal limit. I run a 1.5 kilowatts through this. It puts out a monster signal on 160 meters. Get great signal reports every time I'm on the band. And just for 250 bucks or thereabouts, this was a good purchase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this cut off this rope, and we're going to coil things up, and we'll get it back in the shop, and I'll show it to you all with it coiled up and looking nice and pretty. There you have it. I got it all nicely coiled up. I want to get it back in the shop and mark it and do a few more things, but we have the antenna ready to go. Literally didn't take long at all, under 30 minutes. That coax that was running across here, it's gone now. I pushed it back in that hole. You can just see the PL259 sticking out there. I'll bring that back into the remote station, coil it up, mark it, and then the rope. I wanted to show you the rope here real quick. I just leave it hanging kind of loosely. Then I just bring it back here and tie it up for the season, and it's pretty much, doesn't get a whole lot of direct sunlight hidden here by these pine trees, but it works. For the upcoming November, if anybody has any better ideas to erect this dipole, leave a comment. We have 4 lots down here, basically 50 foot wide, so 200 foot by approximately 100 foot is the lot that I'm setting on here. I think it's about 3/4 of an acre. And, catty corner or corner to corner, basically, I can just barely fit, 260 foot of wire. So I'm open for any ideas. I don't have a lot of trees to deal with here.